ones about extra seats and things like I've seen in other colleges. I've taken some pictures. I'll bring them when we're going to discuss, if we decide to go forward with this, and put them somewhere else so that more of them can sit down and chat and use the park. We would like them presumably to use the park. It would make more sense for them to cut across the park and come out at the zebra crossing to walk down to Little where quite a number of them seem to get picked up by their parents, rather than to walk along the road in the traffic fields. And walking, and it would give a little bit more use to the park, but it depends what you as councillors all feel we might do with this.
Sorry to interrupt, can I just ask, has everyone had a chance to read the paper? So what I think, Councillor Clough, is it's a very well written, comprehensive analysis of where we are. I wonder about the proposals, and I wanted to open that to debate, because I think because it's such a big project, then proposals may need to be staged.
Yes.
Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, I'd like to make an observation. Yes, I agree, this is a well-written report. I think it's overdue. But one of the things that did strike me when I was reading this is that there actually, and particularly with reference to agenda item 10, about an overarching vision for our parks, it struck me that agenda item 5 and agenda item 9 could actually come into agenda item 10 so that we can actually investigate it. And I particularly like this proposal because it does give some substance to the fact that we do need to review our parks. So I support this entirely, but the other thing, I wanted to bring up a couple of things actually. One was that there is a Healthy Rutland grant scheme, so there is money available right now, and it's highly possible, and this is a scheme run by Rutland County Council to encourage the growth of local projects. And if we were to grasp the nettle and run with appendix item 10, and I think 5 and 9 fit into that, we could actually just get a bit of a hit here. So what I would like to propose is that we marry up agenda item 5 and 10 and approve agenda item 10. So 5 and 9, I think, written here, 5 and 9. With a view to, the other thing I want to say was this, is Healthy Rutland grant scheme, which I think was, come to my attention, there's money possibly available. The Urban Tree Challenge Fund, I don't know whether people are aware of that, which is a government initiative which has been on Radio 4 recently. And it basically said there is more money available there. So if we were to get our act together and to look at our parks and spaces now and run with...
So what I don't want to do is I don't want to drift off into...
what I'm trying to say is I think we should look at these as a whole and just...
So we do need to discuss the other agenda items. Councillor Waters.
Before I say anything else, if anyone wants to speak in detail about the Healthy Rutland grants, then I would have to declare an interest, as I sit on the panel that awards it. So I would take no part in the discussion or judgment of it if this council decided to apply. But having said that, I think, Paul, that you're absolutely right, and really a council, as I understand it, should not be a talking shop, it's a decision-making place, and actually this should probably be taken away and worked on by 3 or 4 people to come back with further recommendations that we either agree or disagree or modify. But I've never been a great believer in 12 people sitting around trying to decide what to do.
No, indeed. I was going to raise a point if I could, Chairman.
Yeah.
At one of the previous meetings, I'd mentioned doing something with the other park, Cuts Close, the pavilion. And there was a hint, or it was suggested that maybe I could go and bring something back. Ironically enough, I had produced a document which is coming back at the next council meeting, because one of the things I discovered, which I'd forgotten about, is that in previous years, 2014 I think it was, this council produced a parks document, which actually, which Joy has done is brilliant. This idea links in with that, and that parks document all links in with that, and on the back of what Alan has just said there, I believe maybe that there's an opportunity here to set up a working group that pulls all of those things in together, I don't want to make reference to 10, with what Joy is coming up with, and actually look at the parks as a whole. So it's actually about summarising what you've captured there, because we all seem to have been working in different directions but with exactly the same objective, and that there, I mean, it's amazing how long that took to go and find all the accuracies, doesn't it, Joy, I think?
I've been going up there every 3 or 4
Yeah,
days checking
yeah.
the litter and stuff.
And I knew that when you asked me, do we own the land, do we own the wood, and I'd seen it on the papers years ago when we first all took it on. So I knew that we had the responsibility for the wood anyway. So, yeah.
But we would have to check whether we were legally entitled to take that field boundary down out of the wood. So we would have to find out about that.
It strikes me there's some exploratory work to be done.
Yeah.
And I did look at that previous document. I saw that and read it with interest. It's really well written. But as everything, it has a time span. Times change and finances change and all kinds of things change. So it's an evolving document, arguably. But anyway, can I just take any more comments from around the room on Councillor Clough's proposal?
There wasn't a proposal, was there?
No,
So I have a report.
I just wondered with you saying about the gang of hooded and the attracting undesirable activities, which sounds,
Great.
but what information have we got from the police that they're aware of what activities are actually taking place? And what are their thoughts?
I can comment on that
Can you
directly.
Oh.
So I was with our local police when they were looking for somebody who was carrying a knife in that area. So there's a very high police presence there and a little bit of covert presence as well. And that was literally in the last...
In the woods?
Yes, towards the woods. Yes.
See,
Now, that isn't to say the person was there, but the police presence certainly was, and I saw them, so I stopped and just asked how they were.
I think that would be my comment, is that I agree a working group is the correct way forwards, but perhaps that working group could link in with the
Yes,
police,
I agree.
so we know what's going on.
Another sort of almost a multi, that it wasn't just councillors that you brought in other aspects, because there are, must be other ideas of
The
what
college.
to do with this field and that sort of thing. So
I think there's a lot of ideas for all three.
It's a big work,
isn't it? And I think actually we should, and because there's funding available, the working group should move forward.
So slightly tricky in that there are two proposals at the end of the document.
But some of them are separate, I think, can be treated separately.
No, I mean on this paper. On this paper there are two proposals. Councillor Clough.
The proposal to approve a plan of action can be to put this to a working group with other parks. I haven't specified what it's
that's fine. It's just
and the second proposal is just to check with the lease to make sure we are entitled to take the fencing down.
Yeah, I think that would come under a working group.
Does it have to come back to full council because of the
So
expenditure?
will it be
It's like a
then
working
the
group,
proposal is to agree and approve plan of action?
Right. So the proposal is that this goes forward to a working group, a parks working group. Is that what you want to do?
Yes. Yes. As a proposal.
Do
Can
you
I
want
have
a
a second for that?
If I'd known this other paper was in the same category.
No. And you only just got back with you. A second. That's on you.
Yeah, and you can appoint the members as well. Do you want to appoint the members as well?
Yeah.
Or do you want to wait until all the proposals,
Wait,
reports have been heard,
we'll do it all together.
and link them
Okay.
together if that's going to happen? If that's going to happen.
But, Chairman, would it be possible to do at least one of the low-hanging fruit, if Joy thought it was sensible, that at least we could decide to have a bin put up there? Because that, I think we could probably agree that on the back of this report.
That can go under parks and street furniture.
That's immediate and necessary.
Yeah,
So that'd
just
be-
because of the litter issue.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
a
thought-
separate proposal then. So how would you like that to sound? The proposal would be that a bin be installed in the park. Now the point is whereabouts, where it goes.
It goes, there's a set distance next to the bench. It has to be close enough for them to put the litter in without having to walk half a mile, not so close that the big wasps that sting them when they get round.
So it's another bin in the park, because there are bins there already,
There's two bins
with the detail.
detail.
Can Alison pick up the detail of where that bin goes?
Yeah, I think it's...
If you go to Joy,
Joy,
she's got an idea where she thinks.
Just to be
I
precise.
know where the other bench is.
Yes, it's
It's the other side, near the houses.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's that bench.
So that's the first proposal from that report. The second proposal,
And to the expenditure, yeah?
yes.
To approve the expenditure.
So the first proposal about the bin, can I have a... You're going to propose that, Councillor Clough. Seconder, please.
I propose that we initially start by putting a bin in, and it will be under £500.
Super. Seconder, please.
Yeah.
All those in favour? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. And the second proposal was to take the paper forward and to approve plan of action. We've got a proposer, a seconder for that. Councillor Ainsley, all those in favour?
Are we setting a working group? Because that's what we
I thought that's what I.
That's what-
That's what we were
That's
Do you
doing.
want to
what
set a
I
working
thought we
group
did.
on this
that wasn't
report
the-
or
yeah.
something?
I thought that's what we were going to do, so
Okay.
a working group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to form it.
So
first.
rephrase the proposal
Yeah.
then.
That's what I'll just ask Chairman, because you said one thing and then proposed
Yeah.
something different. I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we're voting.
sure.
That was all.
So, but could the working group be proposed under agenda item 10?
Yeah.
And then that wraps it up, and agenda item 9 can be wrapped up as we're doing now.
Okay.
So hang on then.
Hang on. So we don't want to start linking other agenda items to this yet. We might.
No, I'm saying that we could continue what we're doing for agenda item 5.
Yeah.
And then when we get to 10, that's when we can perhaps
Okay.
suggest a working group, perhaps.
So you don't want a working group on this one? You're
I
going to
have no objection.
I think the point we're making is that there's reports in here that all
Yes.
link together
Yes.
to inform the working group.
at the end.
Yes.
Okay,
So we
yeah.
can either have the working group on the basis of report Appendix B, or we can wait until we get to item 10 and then have the working group.
Yeah, it seems to make a lot of
I
sense.
think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we happy with the proposal we've got so far?
Which is
Let's
the
go forward.
installation of a bin.
Yes.
Okay.
Where have we been?
And I'll give the specifications that I want.
Where you wheeling them?
So the first proposal was about the bin. Second proposal was to agree and approve plan of action and to create a working group.
No, you can't do
No,
that.
that's-
You can't do that because you need to do that at item 10.
10,
You
yeah.
need to leave that
Right.
Yeah,
later.
so we'll leave
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just ask one observation at this point, which is not necessarily relevant, but we were going to have a walk around, which I think is relevant to the whole discussions we're having now. Has that been progressed? Are we going to have that walk
I think
around?
it
Should that come
comes
under
in.
item 10? I
I
don't
think it
know.
comes in under item 9.
Okay, as long as we have a home
It
for
does,
it.
yeah.
The walkabout, I think, is essential at some point.
It's in the minutes of the groups.
Okay, so if we can then...
Number
Yes,
6.
exactly. Can we be done?
Should we vote on
Yes, and
that? Okay, item 6 then, please. Cuts close event appendix C. If we can take that now, please.
So where are we?
6.
Item 6, appendix C, and
Sullivan.
PPWG. So who would like to speak?
It's speaking.
Thank
Is it
you.
for you?
Thank you.
Councillor Dole, thank you.
We have already fixed the dates for the band concerts this year, which would end on the 18th of August. Since that has been done, we have been approached by churches together to do a Songs of Praise on the 1st of September, and the Lord Lieutenant is doing a written military celebration on the 8th. Now, to keep the flow going through, I would like to propose that we use the 25th of August as another band concert date, so that you're not stopping and starting, it's just
Yeah,
a
keeps going.
flow through.
Good idea.
That's bank holiday, isn't it?
It's also a bank holiday, yes.
It's also on my birthday, so I think it's a really good idea.
To celebrate your birthday, yes. I'll just add that on there.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I think
The secret's out.
one of the comments when I was up there the other weekend was that, and I don't know how this works, I'm sure you will know, Councillor, is that sometimes there's a tea stall.
Yes.
So I don't know whether would that happen anyway as part of that? I don't know how that works. Is it local charities that run those normally?
It's usually either the guides or the scouts.
Brilliant, yeah.
But, of course, they're all on
Holiday.
camp at the moment, so hence you didn't have one the day that you
No,
were
no,
doing it.
Well, the
But
usual
normally I
people said,
usually
where's the
have-
tea? So
Yes.
I ran off and got one.
Yeah, there will be something
Okay.
around that day.
Did the pub decide not to come anymore? Not to
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, they just
Just didn't? No. Okay.
What happening now is we're talking about for Bill's Bar. And where's it going? I don't quite understand how that works.
Right. We've done fun days before, or
Events.
events, that's the word I'm looking for, that run from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock normally. So Bill's Bar would be open between 12 and
1700.
1700, but it may be later.
Or 5 o'clock.
Oh, but the plan
Morning
is,
or PM?
the plan is to actually go further into the evening, because a lot of people have said that they enjoy sitting in the park for the proms in the park because it's an evening event rather than an afternoon event. So what we're looking at doing is going from 12 till 8.
20.
Do we have licences or do they have a Thames
Yeah, how
licence?
does all that work?
They need
Bill's Bar have to apply for the
Their
licence
own
themselves.
the Thames licence.
They've already done it.
Okay.
Oh.
The gentleman from Bill's Bar has said if you don't agree with it in meeting, it's only £23 and he's not bothered about losing it, but he'd rather have the licence ready for whatever happens this evening.
And in regards to Mr Spencer and his Thames licence, has he done that on the basis of 8 p.m? Or has he done that? He has, okay.
What liabilities does the council have regarding consumption of alcohol in the park and all that kind of thing? I'm just concerned about insurance and
It's nothing, is it?
do we have any liability at all if alcohol
We've got
is consumed?
insurance.
Well,
Bills-
bills have to have
Bills-
public liability.
bills have their
Yeah,
public
bills,
liability.
I think if there is something that's in Rutland open where drinking alcohol is a problem in the streets,
Prohibited in certain areas of Oakham.
and I don't know the answers, but
No, there's
The answer is
Something in our park.
in the park.
if a police officer asks you to cease drinking
Mm.
alcohol, you must cease
Yeah.
drinking alcohol, and he has the right to take it off you if you refuse.
Why in the park?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
that's what's in.
But there's no ordinance that says you can't consume
No.
alcohol in a public
No.
There
place.
isn't, no.
Because it's not the first time we've done alcohol.
I say we've been serving alcohol for quite a while.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that.
That's fine.
I've drank a lot of alcohol now.
Looking at how many bins we had the other week.
Can I just ask then, on proposal 3, I think it's a great idea, but on proposal 3, does the council have the authority to grant permission for a sale of alcohol? Are we able to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you just can't hold a meeting in a...
Okay.
So yeah, it's fine.
So we have the permission, this committee, does it, Recreation Planning Committee, to actually authorise an outside bar, or is that going to go to full council?
No.
So we
It's
can
not-
do
it's not
it.
any
Yeah,
expense-
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
any expenditure to us.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? What sort of band are you thinking of, or what event are you thinking of? Because I think it's a wonderful idea to have this extension.
Right. Now,
If it's just going to be...
The-
No, I'm not saying anything negative.
the
You know what I'm
plan
saying?
is, right, and obviously, if people say no, then that's the end of it. I've already spoken to everybody about this. The plan is that we are going to have 3 different bands. The first one is going to be 60s, going on to a reggae band, going on to Funked Up. Now, when we had Funked Up before, the park was absolutely packed and everybody loved it. Now, the arrangement that I've taken upon myself with Bill's Bar is that I have said that I'll propose tonight that we allow them to stand and they will pay for Funked Up to perform. So we are saving £450 by doing that.
If we get the numbers that I think we might get, how do we, that word control, how do we look after them? Maybe it's better termed. How do we look after
Well, I
that
would
many people?
hope there's some people to help,
Do we have,
like members of the council.
what about litter and all that?
We
We've got bins and stuff we put out that's in the
We have extra bins.
So we have, do we go, what do we do post-event to clean it all up? Is that just,
We walk around the collect.
Just do
who's
it.
we?
Whoever's down there. Well, Sally Ann actually.
Sally Ann.
And Joy's been quite active, and Ian was there the other week. So
I think sometimes you've got to be a little bit adventurous. So I'm nervous, but
Very nervous.
that doesn't mean things like this aren't successful. I think my nervousness is around aggressive behaviour, because it's inevitable with alcohol and how we deal with that, and then the litter.
I think it's a wonderful idea. It's
Litter,
on my birthday.
I don't see it being a problem because Prom's in the park.
and we have a litter pick in the morning by our contractors, don't we?
Yes,
Do we?
because what
So,
we
so,
do
so,
is
the,
we
so it's all
back
bagged up,
Okay.
tied up, put near the waste bins, and they take it away, and they don't charge us any extra, do they?
I don't know.
Sorry, Councillor Clufton and Councillor O'Neill, please.
You first.
It would be something we might look at for the future, while we're looking at bins, if we actually have a good look at the parks and we look at the issue of bins, whether we had bins that did separated out the rubbish into recycling and non-recyclable in the park. Because when we had the problems in the park, nobody took their rubbish home, and we had sacks and sacks and sacks of bottles and pizza boxes, and we went round and collected them all up. But it was all in bags, it all just went in, went in together. And I don't know whether
But that would be something that this new working group look into.
It could be something it's something that we could add on into the mix for our parks thing.
It is a
But
good,
that's not-
I think it's a good point. You're going to have a lot of rubbish to get rid of, arguably, and have we got the facility to get rid of it?
Yes, but if they come and collect it in the morning,
Yeah.
they've got to make sure it's in bags by the dustbins.
I think we've just got to be less, I think, a bit slightly adventurous, and let's just go for it.
I think
Councillor Neil, sorry.
Yeah, no, my comment was just that if councillors were concerned that excessive alcohol drinking might cause aggressive behaviour, then we preempt that by talking to the local police force.
Well, we'd have to
And let them
anyway,
know.
I think the numbers, the people that might go, absolutely, I'm
We
sure
have to,
Councillor
We
Wasworth
have to
will talk
notify
to
them of every, so.
So if I may then, would you be happy to include in your proposal that you discuss it with, please?
Yeah.
So, can I have a proposer then, please? There's several proposals
No, I was going to
there.
say there's quite a
Can I
few.
suggest
We'll
that we
do
wrap
them all
those in?
together.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it all together?
Yeah, all together, yeah.
Okay, because there's also the expenditure of £800, but that is only coming out of the PPWG's already
Current budget.
budget.
And that will cover 2 vans, will it?
So the only extra thing is that you discuss with the police.
Yeah.
Sorry?
That the only extra thing
Yes.
is that you discuss with the
Yes.
police. Okay, yeah, fine.
Well done.
I'll move on
So,
block, Chair.
proposer,
I'll move on block.
thank you. All those for?
Sorry, who seconded it?
Councillor
Zoe.
Romney.
One or the other.
Yeah, good one.
Against, if any? Abstentions? Unanimous.
And just to add, if anybody would like to volunteer to come down and help me during those 8 hours, there is a bar.
Do they keep a trailer on wheels or something? Or do they just...
He's got a big trailer, he's going to have gin on tap and Stepper on tap and
Will there be any
I think I'm away.
food we're looking into.
Yeah.
Okay, perhaps we should have some food first.
Sorry, the proposal doesn't include food. There's separate licences required for that.
Is that?
If you get vendors in, they need licences.
No, the only thing would be that if we get somebody that is doing it and charging, then we would charge them £25, which is already covered under our T's and C's anyway.
I think
So
it's somewhere in the agenda. Where did you put it?
Under this next one.
The next bit that is requesting use of taste amusements, and he comes with his teacups and his burger van.
We haven't got the burger van in there, have we?
It is in the
in the next page, number 8.
next one.
Number 8, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Right.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Item 7.
It's on item
There's
7.
3 things on item 7.
So that's the last one.
Okay.
So that's
So we're now on to item 7, then a request to use cut close. Appendix D.
Yeah, so this is a request that council have received for this lady would like to teach yoga sessions in Cuts Close from 9 until 10 on Saturdays in August and September. I did get back to her some questions. The lady is qualified. She teaches weekly classes at Stamford, and she's also doing classes shortly at Oakham School Leisure Centre. She'd like to do it just next to the bandstand. She's got public liability up to £1 million, and the lady lives in Oakham.
I'd just like
Sorry.
to make a comment about how somebody actually applies. It was me who wrote in to Alison because this told you nothing.
Yes.
And I think that there should be something standardised where when people are approaching us to use our facilities, that's close being one of them, that we're very clear about what information we want and what evidential information we require for them to use our spaces. And at the moment, I'm not 100% sure we do have that. And when I first read this, you know, I thought, well, is she coming to talk, or are we supposed to make a decision on nothing? And that's why I contacted Alison to get more information. But I think that without it, and I'm not saying whether I agree with it or not, the fact she wants to give money to Mind, she certainly hasn't approached Mind because I've checked. I don't know whether that's influences people that she's doing it for a charity or not, but I just think that we need to be standardising what information we ask of people when they approach us.
That's Rodney.
If I'm not mistaken, I think last year we came up with a form, didn't we, for the letting
Yes,
of both the circus and acts, which would come under the same form.
We've got
wouldn't
a
it?
contract.
Don't we? Yeah.
I suppose that's not the same.
It's not, is it? No, we've got a contract, but we haven't got sort of like an application form. Is that something?
It can be something.
The policies and procedures to say that we need to standardise and look at this, because I think it's quite a lot actually that we need to push to policies and procedures.
Contract's the same thing though, isn't it?
Well, no, because what Jean's saying is, or Councillor Denny, sorry, people want to, so when people request to come to us, that there's a form that they fill out that has certain questions on it, and then once that's agreed, then they get the contract.
That's right, yeah.
I remember the application from Diddy Rugby. I don't know whether this clashes, by the way.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
Does it clash with Diddy Rugby?
I think they're doing this on Saturday, aren't they?
This is
Saturday.
So it's just, does it clash? And secondly, you know, with the hoops we made Diddy Rugby jump through, I'm just thinking that we do need a standardised form. I think that's absolutely right.
I think I wasn't aware that Mind hadn't been approached, but I think that's a critical area. So if you're saying that you're going to give the money to Mind, but they don't know about it, I'm not saying that she's done anything wrong, but she certainly hasn't done enough.
No, I think that it comes in with the standardisation because Council felt very strongly that one of the reasons Diddy Rugby could be approved was that she wasn't charging anybody anything. She was covering the costs herself, whereas this lady is saying she will be charging people, although I was planning to give it to charity.
And we would be asked whether that money did go to Mind. We now know that it may not. Well, it may do.
Just because I've been notified doesn't prove that she'll have criminal intent, does it?
That's tough, yeah.
Could we take the stance that as a, knowing it doesn't conflict with Diddy Rugby, that we would approve this for a short season to see how it worked and how it went on the condition that people weren't charged? So it becomes, you know, she's offering a free session.
I'm nervous. I think the lady probably means the intentions are well-meaning, but she needs some advice on how she writes to the council and what she proposes and the hoop she's got to jump through, so they end up in the same place as Diddy Rugby, or they don't at all. I don't think we can give her I wouldn't like to give her the opportunity on this basis.
No, not on that basis.
I think to come back to us with a better proposal.
What do we want in that proposal? What is it? I do struggle to know what it is we actually want from this court, ladies. Is it just the assurance that the money's going to charity? And if we can get that assurance, then are we happy to proceed? I don't see the difference between this and Diddy Rugby, and I just think to myself that it's the exchanging of money, isn't it, that we're worried about? I understand.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we need to get an assurance from her, because even if we've got an assurance in writing, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean she has to physically do it. So
Has she got
what assurances would we want?
Well, has she got insurance?
We know that.
Yes.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is we only know that because I said to Alison, this is nothing. So if she's going to make a formal application, then I would want her to do that so everybody gets it, because we're just totally verbally.
I think it's a fair point. You know, we would expect to see as part of the application process her document that provides insurance, as opposed to yes, I've got some.
Yes, I think that's absolutely valid, but I don't think we should penalise her because of the lack of standardisation that we currently have.
No, I think there's two separate routes.
Yes.
We're making a discussion about this lady based on what we know from what she said and from what Alison's research for us. But we also have this line where it seems to be agreed that it's to go to policies and procedures, that we have some sort of standard application.
A letting form, basically, isn't it?
There's a thread here, isn't there, with parks and open spaces?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
with annexes.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think we should approve this, and that we ask Alison to get proof of the insurance and to get an assurance about the mental health donations. Yes.
Would you want to know that she's trained?
Yes, I think that's yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, well
Yeah.
said.
And
Yeah.
who's going to go on a Saturday then to check?
You can.
Well, if we get the
I
documentation
can
beforehand.
get it sent to the office.
Maybe
I
that's.
meant to see what she's doing. Do we actually do that, or do we just say?
I don't think we're doing it for Diddy Rugby. Diddy Rugby will happen,
hadn't been
and none of us will be there.
When did it started now? Did you?
I don't think so. Can't remember.
Or gosh, I can't think to anybody else.
So the principles are that documents that support her activity, that she doesn't charge for the activity, and any money that does go, doesn't go to her, goes directly to Mind, then it isn't changing hands.
No,
And then we get assurances regarding her insurance and her qualifications. And I think on that basis, I would be happy to proceed personally.
And can I then have a proposer for that?
I think that was Paul's proposal, wasn't it?
Are you happy with that, Paul?
As a proposal, oh
Yeah.
yes, especially if it's
Thank you.
mine.
Second.
It doesn't clash with Diddy.
Oh yes, if it doesn't clash with Daddy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Daddy, thank you.
And a seconder, please. That's Romy, thank you. All those in favour? Against, if any?
Can I just say, if we start to do these things in the park, perhaps other people over the
Absolutely.
next couple of years
In all the
will
parks.
see that we're doing things and think, oh,
Well, Paul and I have often talked about Tai Chi.
Are you two doing it in the park?
Oh, Tai Chi.
they do in Japan, don't they?
And that's where it came from.
Can I come down and take photographs of you, Paul, if you do the same? Well, I think
We
I
can
think
discuss it.
for a fee. For a modelling fee, yes.
That's not what Philip Schofield's doing in that advert. Are you going to be doing that?
One and two together.
And
And then one, two.
Good.
So,
That's-
oh yeah, those are
Okay, moving to item 7, brackets 3, to consider a request and grant permission for Pindus Circus to use Cuts Close during 19th March, 22nd of March 2020.
Yeah, well, there's no problem. I'd propose that we allow it. I'd second it if you.
There we are, we have a proposer and a seconder. All those for?
All for Pinders, all for Pinders.
Against? Pindus, all those for?
It's all for.
4, okay, unanimous.
I'm still looking for it on the paper.
It's on the agenda.
7-3.
And number 4, to consider request and grant permission for Ted's amusement supply, refreshment van, small fairground equipment. I think that should be the 8th, shouldn't it? Or is it the 18th? Sorry, the 18th.
Oh, the 8th.
25th, yeah.
August and 25th of August.
So 18th is the
2019.
fun day that we're having, and 25th is the...
It's Councillor Ainsley's birthday, which
Can I just
we're
ask-
celebrating.
Can I just ask my own benefit? The refreshment, the Ted's amusement paid for that privilege today?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
They give us some money.
£25
Yes.
Okay.
per item.
Per item, is
Yes,
that?
we
Are we
decided...
still going to do the same checks regarding insurance?
Yep.
and all
Yeah,
that?
that's standard.
That's standard with them.
We get a contract.
It is
And I'll
standard.
take Councillor Wadsworth as the proposer. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Neil. Councillor Neil, all those in favour? Against, if any? No abstentions, carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, Cuts Close Fund Day, Appendix E.
Councillor Watkins.
Okay, then we can have a G.
She's been busy.
No,
Spending all
We've got
of
to
them.
have it.
Okay, it's basically just to authorise me spending £500 from the budget that's already been authorised for the promotions. It's at the end of the season we usually have a fun day. This year we've gone for the theme of the seaside with a sand pit that's being made. The sand, I believe, is being donated. Buckets and spades, some competitions, and basically we're just going to have a big fun day.
Yeah.
So I just need some money, please.
So when the sum not to exceed is essentially enough receipts to hit £500 or just under?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How do you stop the sand being soiled? Has it been stored overnight? Cats, dogs, people?
It's not being stored
Builders.
overnight, is it?
Well,
how's it contained as well?
Adam's
In
playing with it all night.
I'll be there. Yeah, that's what we're doing. The sand will be in 20 or 25 kilogram bags and stored in the shelter until it is poured into the sand pit on the day of the activity.
And we're getting rid of
And
it.
And then we were going to invite people to take it home.
Oh, we can do
We
that.
retained the bags, and we did this before. We then put the sand back in the bags, and if people want to take the sand away, they can do.
So it's not going to be sold by council?
No.
Hopefully not.
Well,
It'll be in bags.
unless children bring cats into the sand pit.
Is there an opportunity for any of the
My
local
children
schools that have
do.
sand pits that they can come and take it at the end of the day? So
Yeah,
donate it to-
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Far be it from me to say there is one, I don't know.
No, but that's, you know, we could put out, you know, little posters that
Yeah.
if there are any schools that would like to
Schools or nurseries.
Yeah.
to
But I-
donate
'cause I would-
themselves for a bag.
On behalf of Sally Ann, I'd approached Hanson about the sand, and they've agreed to give me some sand in bags, and they're going to deliver it for me sometime in the very near future. And the construction of the sand pit is exactly the same format as I did it in previous years, which is just 4 pieces of decking on the edge, screwed together with little benches on each corner. And I've given the, hopefully on the back end of this goes through, I've already given the receipt to the clerk this evening, and the cost of the decking is around about less than £35 for the 4 pieces.
So, can you come do one of my house?
And then I might have to buy a tarpaulin to tack to the bottom to stop the sand disappearing.
It's a sharp sanders.
It's paper
Paper
sand.
sand.
It's
So I've learned-
yeah,
I've
we're not
learned-
allowed to use sharp sand.
I've learned something here. So once the council authorises expenditure, we can go and do it, which is really important. You haven't got to go. This will allow you to go and get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Any other comments on the floor?
Move the recommendation, Chairman, proposal.
Thank you. Proposer, seconded please. That's for Neil. All those in favour? Against? Unanimous. Thank you.
Out of interest, have you ever tried at other locations other than Cuts?
For what?
For the sand pit, I'm just thinking,
Oh, no,
No.
never. Okay,
Not
just
in
an
my-
interest.
not in my council lifetime. Mr. Lowe, Councillor Lowe.
Okay, item 9 then. Playground inspections, Appendix F. Councillor Wadsworth, thank you.
Okay, this is something that was highlighted in our training, that the parks should be inspected at least once a week. I personally don't think that is happening, and to help the staff, I would propose that each play area from each one of our wards is elected a councillor to just go and have a quick look round, and anything that's highlighted, like, oh, that swing's about to fall down, we can let the office know, and then obviously it's down to the office to do the work.
We're being proactive as opposed to reactive.
That's right.
Yeah, given the discussions we've had previously about councillors doing inspections and how that was frowned upon, I do feel that this is a very valid thing, but I also feel that perhaps it might be better to look at it in, when we come to agenda item 10. So as we did for the other item, roll this up and say let's have a proper look at it. It's not that I'm saying they don't need inspection, I just think we need to look at it in a little more depth.
Thank you. And if I may as well, I think we talked about going back to the maintenance company to ask them for a better report, which would help us, I think, in that, because it would say, it would give us a condition, it would give us photographs from professional people, and then we could just move ahead with all of that maintenance planning.
Yeah, and I was up at Royce's today and being harangued by half a dozen young ladies, well, fairly mature ladies, about stuff, and I have to say the equipment was in pretty much quite a lot of disrepair. So it is something that needs doing, it's just how we approach the ongoing repair.
So on the basis of your proposal, it's to elect one councillor for each ward to examine the play area. I think Willow Crescent is very close to me. So if it helps, I would immediately volunteer for that.
Okay, we know
I'd
what it
probably
talks.
send my son to do it, but here we are.
Could I just ask a question? You know, when you walk through Cuts Close, on the sign it said Oakham Town Council and the phone number. Is there anywhere, I haven't spotted it and it might be there, but is there anywhere that has a sign that says if you say anything at fault, you know, could you please call the office number?
There's
or
something on the
something?
skate park and
Yeah.
there's something on the toddlers play area.
Ah, what does that say?
Pretty much what you just said there. That if you see any issues or damage, then you can report it. But as a rule, people walking into the park, it doesn't say it on the general sign, but it does say where there's significant equipment. It does mention it.
Okay, she'll punt it out.
So again, it could fall under the proposal of a review of parks and open spaces and what we might do.
It does
I think
work,
we have to formalise this.
because sometimes I get the little kids ring up about the skate park.
Yeah, right, it's good. Yeah.
So yeah, they do read the signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they're not spraying,
Is there any further questions for Councillor Wadsworth on her proposal, on her paper, sorry? Sorry, just...
So I don't have a question, but I don't see any reason to delay this particular paper. I know there's a suggestion that we might wrap it up in item 10, but I think it's quite straightforward and something we should probably do. So crack on, in my opinion.
You're not being held responsible for anything as the councillor-elect.
No.
You're just going down there and saying, oh, that swing's falling down, I need to let Alison know. It's just to help the office out.
I think it's a really adult way of doing it. You know,
Yeah.
instead of everybody saying you can't, you're not qualified, if something's dangerous, that's an opinion.
Well, it's obvious things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and we've done it where we've had when the swing has been tangled around the frame, and we've had people ring through.
That's a Clough header.
I just wonder in this litigious society whether if we were to say councillors inspect this, and I'm just being awkward here, but it's the way people sometimes think.
But I've not put in.
No, I don't think we
No,
are. We're not.
So,
Yeah.
you know, if we are going to
Reporting
take
rather
comfort
than
in the fact that
inspecting.
a non-trained councillor is going to wander around and actually report stuff.
Here's the thing for me. I think what we're saying is that an adult member of society has had a look and made a phone call. And if it happens to be a councillor...
Couldn't you and email it through?
I think we
You
can't
have to
harp
bring
on
up,
this
would you?
inspection idea. It's a visit to an area where when there's something obvious going on, it's going to be reported back to the clerk.
Yeah,
I mean, it's happened.
It ties in with the children that ring you, doesn't
An
it?
ex-councillor
I guess.
used to do it frequently. He used to walk through the park and say there was graffiti on the shelter.
he still does.
Or he still does, or something happened. And you've done it as well, Sally Ann, when you
Yes.
walked through.
And
So
I
it's that
did
kind of-
it
and
for
you've
you
done
last
it.
week, didn't I?
Yeah.
But I actually was going up when I was checking the defibrillator on our park. I noticed a rather large pothole forming on that piece of ransom strip in front of the garages on Princess Avenue. And of course, if somebody goes over on a pothole, council's liable. So I made the clerk aware, and she's had somebody go out and have a look at it to do, and that is essential works, which the clerk is now going to get repaired.
I think basically what we're saying is we're reversing away from our original conversation where we said we're not allowed to inspect, and we're now recognising we're not actually inspecting.
This is common sense.
Well, I think the difference
Have
being
been through and seen
the
something.
difference being, Chairman, that the standing orders are quite clear that no one councillor can inspect land or give instructions or anything to a contractor without permission of council, and all we're doing here is actually giving permission.
Yes.
And that's
Which
correct.
is a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
And it would only then go to the clerk, who would then
it's
make
not
the
a formal
decision.
inspection.
So instead of doing
report.
electing each member, why don't you just everybody, if they're near?
Because I think if you do that, well, Fred's gone down and done it, or...
Alright,
So
okay.
you
I
need to
think the best
formalise it a
way
little
of
bit.
Okay.
name it.
Yeah,
And
it
can I
does,
say-
does need to be
Okay.
Yeah.
abide by
And what
standing
happens with
orders.
holiday periods or...
Well,
I
if it's
think...
only for a week, then I can't see it being a major...
I think...
All councillors can organise it between on each ward.
Well, yes,
Yes.
exactly.
And I know you
Yes.
don't mind, but I
Yeah.
have a play park, but I'll monitor it. But presumably you're not intending me to go and look at the play park that's there.
This isn't-
No, that's not us.
I think what we're saying is this isn't about holding councillors to account.
No.
It isn't about, and that's what you're saying, Councillor Manager, isn't it? You can't be held to account if you didn't do it.
No.
If you did do it and you reported it, that's okay.
I'm absolutely in favour of going and having a look at it. I'm
Yeah.
just really concerned about the implications if it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
or if you miss something and somebody gets injured,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, no,
that
because
kind of
the
thing. that
council,
bothers
the
me.
council has the quarterly inspections that we paid for, so we're covered on that.
This is extra.
This is just a day-to-day,
Just a day-to-day, yeah.
So I think
So,
Can I propose that we go forward with this proposal and elect
yes.
representatives?
That's it.
what way we're going to use it, examine, look at.
Examine. I've got on here, examine.
Certainly would take a second picture as well. With kids.
Okay, so I've got the proposer, seconder.
Sensible after the chairman reported.
All those for? Against? Abstentions? Unanimous. Thank you.
So you're going to
So now we need to go.
So now it's election. So I'm happy to do. I think it's Willow Crescent off of Trent Road and all that.
No.
It's not on the view.
Is it?
You're thinking of Welland Way, which
Yes, it's
isn't
not ours.
It's not ours.
I don't have a job. Excellent.
You've got
So, I mean, Cuts Close, obviously, most of us walk through that anyway, but I'm quite happy to.
I'm happy to do Royce because I walk the dog twice a day, so. Can you do mine? What
I
my
was
dog?
going to say, I was just thinking about mine.
I'm happy with my ward.
And you're happy with your ward.
I'll do Willow Crescent if you
So
want.
that just leaves.
We have
the-
we have one. We have a volunteer. That's
There you
awesome.
go.
Thank you.
And I mean, I would
Across the road.
just say, I wouldn't put myself forward because I can't guarantee my mobility is going to be good enough to do that every
Just doing
week.
Royce's all day,
Until I get my scooter fixed, anyway. But
James doing Barley.
And wisdom.
Joy.
and I was through. But I
Everyone
think,
on board, isn't it?
like Joy was commenting, you know, if she's away for 3 weeks, she's the only person in her ward. But there are other people, you know, I live fairly near to that. I just do a week.
It's
for
corporate agreement, isn't there? So actually,
Yeah.
if we see something, we now know we can.
you. Yeah.
And if it isn't the person who normally does it, that's all right.
Can I ask another question? Given that I don't have a play parking set in the field, if I've got a resident in the residents group who walks his dog around it every day, can I simply say to him, I will go and check it periodically, but if you're walking around the park and you spot anything, you know, the rubbish is building up or you get information, will you let me know?
I don't see why not.
Or put up a
I
sign.
mean, if it's a play park, yes, I would go and make
can just stop.
But since it's just grass
I
and...
think the methodology should be down to the individual councillors.
Yeah.
It depends on the park, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of Google Earth or something. Okay, if I can move this on then, please. So we're now on to item 10.
He's the guy called
Perhaps put up a
police.
sign. Any machete?
You'll notice I haven't made anyone stand up. That's because there's no one here filming, but normally I would. I'm not going to stand up because no one else has.
No, you don't have to, Chairman.
Don't need to.
No,
Thank you.
you're on this one.
So,
We all like these.
the subject was Rpgp, overarching vision for parks and open spaces. I had addressed this right back, so I apologise to Alison. I sent a very high level paper in, which is utterly ridiculous. The applicable strategy was a comprehensive review of responsibilities, future plans for all OTC parks and open spaces, mindful, I didn't write it, mindful of the document that already exists, which is incredibly comprehensive, but has a timeline on it. And then I'll offer regular reports to full council that inform current and future liabilities. So lots of waffle there from me, which you've read, I'm sure. But I wanted the committee to debate responsibilities, understand, discuss opportunity, explore, understand contracts that already support the parks. Without waffling on further, I think the proposal was that further discussion take place around the management provision of parks and open spaces, allowing a paper to be presented to full council ahead of the October funding round. I think that last bit probably doesn't matter so much at the moment, but wrapping it into a strategic vision, view, plan, delivery of our parks and open spaces. Open up to discussion, and I want the proposal to be committee-led. It's my idea, but I want us to talk about it if we are going to wrap it into a bigger plan.
I think that we could be more proactive. I don't think all our parks need to offer the same thing, because we have a range of parks in different places. But if we looked at what we have and we looked at what they were suitable for, we could devise a strategy that says this park is ideally suited for this type of activity, and then we could be proactive in perhaps seeking those activities and extending what we do. Yes.
I mean, I was really interested listening to Councillor Lowe's ideas around Cuts Close and the building there, and I think there's potential in all of our parks and open spaces. Preservation, fundamental, that they remain green spaces and they don't end up becoming, you know, the attractive place for people to put up nonsense and just fill it with art or whatever else it is. Green space is really important. But for me, I was looking across everything and recognising that sometimes we've got to get a bit of money from here, we've got to write a plan for that, or an annex for this, and appendices for this. And I think the working group idea is fundamental. So lots of the group of like-minded people around the table saying, what are we doing with our parks and open spaces? How do we get people to use them? How do they apply? What is the plan for Cuts Close? Are we focusing too much on Cuts Close and we should focus on Centre Henry Field? I don't know. And I think the conversation probably falls then to the working group to explore it and come back with a paper that is underpinned by the document that already exists, pulls in the the papers that have been submitted tonight. That's where I am. But I was struggling a little bit with the future, because the future plan for me would be 5 to 10 years, not more than that, but certainly 5 years. I want to stop talking and listen.
Well, I think we should go ahead and get a working group together.
Yeah, I think that's
That's where we need to
around
start.
Yeah.
I think it's also very important that the working group, as you rightly said right at the beginning, that there are several play areas, all of which have different needs. Cuts Close is sort of, and I think of what's happening at Royce's playing field and what people were saying to me tonight, and Centre Henry Field, all of them have different needs and stuff for the communities in which they serve, if that's the right word. So I just think that it'd be good on the committee to try and get some, a breadth of coverage of those areas, wards as possible, without being too cumbersome.
And I think so. The working group needs some terms of reference, and without getting too involved in the detail, I asked Alison about the money that we use already, and with a plan, people are going to have ideas. There's no point in having ideas if there's no money to support it. And I'm not saying we change the budget immediately, that's not my business. But I think the working group should have parameters, but should be allowed to explore a bit as well. So the ideas that they have should be able to be brought back, costed, disagreed with, agreed with. Otherwise we'll end up doing this all again in a year's time because we've missed something. So wide scope.
Yeah, it's like this, the Cuts Close plan, which was set up in 2014. That was a five-year plan, I think, down to 2020. And to a certain extent, I don't think it's been looked at really until this year again. So it's missed a couple of years, unfortunately. So
it was done for. I did it for the.
It was done for the green flag, yeah. And of course, we don't have the green flag anymore, do we? We dismissed that. So.
And in terms of money, I think when you've got that plan, the budget every year should support the plan. And you shouldn't have to dig into reserves. Well, maybe you have to, I don't know, but
depends on how big it is. I think Paul wanted to say.
I'm just going to say, with this working group, be canvassing local opinion as well as its own opinion.
Personally, I think that's essential.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not. I don't think it's a working group, but it becomes something that people criticise for being secret stuff.
Because there are aspects, we've talked about the play equipment and I've talked about opening up for kids to run around in, but there's another big issue for green spaces, that's dog walkers. And it's an emotive issue.
Responsible dog walkers.
Yes. Well, maybe that's something we can build into some of our parks, that we have areas that are specialised where people can walk dogs that keep them out from where the kids are playing.
So
it could be another aspect of what we
has
might be
anyone
looking at.
We do that already.
Has anyone got anything else they want to add in? Because I think
Where?
Councillor Waters.
Royce's.
There's a dog trial or something.
Yeah. And the play equipment's fenced. The young children's play equipment's fenced in.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking,
the older
I
equipment
was
isn't.
thinking more than that. I was thinking actually having a sort of a walk
And this can come
down the
out.
edge that-
This can come out. I think the conversations that
Yeah.
were. Sorry, Councillor Waters.
I think the working group, the task and finish group, we prefer to call them, because you give them a task and they have to finish it and come back by a certain deadline, otherwise it just goes on and on. I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea, because I think I said it first.
To base yourself on.
But I think that's only part of it. I think there's a wider thing, and I know the chairman, the real chair, not you,
It's true.
has suggested before it might be possible for us to have an informal meeting in some way, so that there are no rules to it, and we all sit down around a round table or whatever
And thrash it out.
where we really want the council to
Possibly
be
even with a beer,
for the next 4 years.
by the way.
It could be with a beer in.
Yeah.
Because there are things like devolution where the county council want parish councils
We
to
aren't
take on
doing
more and more land and more
Maybe
and
final
more
meetings.
places.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of initiatives happening at the moment. We've made a lot of decisions for the parks, haven't we? We've talked about a trim trail and we've talked about a whole series of things. I think we need to put it together, and I really welcome the idea of having an informal discussion, so you can just throw all this stuff into the middle and then go away and do the task and finish group. I'm also very keen on deadlines.
Are we suggesting that we have an informal meeting before a working group?
Yes.
is
Well, yes.
established?
I might suggest that we
So
get
that
this
would, that would be
arranged.
the proposal coming from this.
Yeah.
That we
I've got it
get
in
this arranged
draft
for the-
here. So the proposal will be an informal meeting of the council. And
No,
just
councils can't have informal
No,
meetings.
no, we just
Informal meetings
You
of
would-
councillors,
to
yes.
try to help you out. Two ways we can do this. Either you can just call an informal meeting
Okay.
at any time, and we just all meet here,
Yeah.
or I can call it, whichever way you want to do it. I'm happy for you to call it.
I'm happy to call it because it will be a team effort.
Yeah.
Frankly, that will be it.
Can we also tie that in with the visit? I hate to harp on, but I do think it would be really useful.
Just wanted to be on the
Okay.
So it's appropriate to then have a look at what we're going to be discussing.
That might just narrow it down too much to parks and recreation.
Yeah.
There might be bigger things to discuss, like
What?
reserves and budgets and things.
Yeah.
So I'd like the proposal read to read then, for an informal meeting to be held to establish a task and finish group that discusses the future strategic plans for parks and open spaces.
The informal group can't set up the task and finish group.
No, you'll have to come back.
Come back to. Well, we can do it two ways.
Informal meeting,
Whichever
back to-
meeting's earliest, either yours or mine.
Well,
We
just
can-
say blue
yeah.
sky thinking or something.
Yeah.
That's
So
it.
full meeting
Vague
first.
phrase.
Yeah, informal
Yeah.
meeting. Then
Does that have to go as a proposal?
No.
No.
So we just have the informal meeting.
Just go on.
So the proposal then,
Same as you would with any other working group.
It's probably a proposal with regard to this document. You might want to, what's the phrase we use when we push something back? Defer it until the outcome of a decision on a working group.
I think we need to defer it because you've agreed a task and finish group.
Yeah.
I think
we
we
can
can
agree
propose a
on
task and finish group.
Yeah.
And then we could say
Well,
members to be
that's it,
declared.
isn't it? You can
Yeah.
set up a task and finish group. So
Yeah.
then, and then you can have your informal meeting.
Yeah.
And then when your task and finish group meet, they're going to come up with some amazing stuff.
How many minutes?
With amazing people.
So we're not going to talk about the full meeting here at all. We're not
No.
going to that. So the proposal is that a task and finish group be set up to discuss and agree the future of parks and open spaces.
But Rebecca, there's to come back to council within a reasonable time period.
Yeah. I don't think it's right that we set any parameters here tonight.
Yeah,
Is that-
Well, also the paper which I put in for the cuts close will be at the next council, which is
2 weeks
7th of
time.
August.
next week, isn't it?
Next week, 7th
Next
of
week.
August.
So the chance are that will probably preempting that, probably get deferred to be part of whatever the group is.
Yeah, because it's all part of it. It's a good thing.
It is.
It's a good
No,
thing.
it's all everything's falling
Could
in.
I ask, please, Keith,
Yes, of course.
in the office,
Yeah.
historically, do you have for each park area a survey of accessibility for each park? Because that will be key, obviously, to what you want to provide and for what age groups and etc. etc. And I wonder if that survey had already been done about accessibility and what's lacking and what may
That's never been done.
Not
no.
on the web.
well, I think that's quite. If you're going to look at all age groups
I think it's a
and
job for Jean.
mobility, then that's
Well,
not.
it's-
Demographic, I think the general demographic of the area.
It might be.
That'll
I've got a
come out
feeling
that
that there
group.
might be something in that document. It's a very big document. Isn't it?
Is it?
Very
Yeah.
big. Yes, a lot of work, obviously. There might be something in there, and I would, I don't want to guide the task and finish group at all, but there's already a framework in that document, and it's just about pushing the dates. Okay, so that was the proposal. Can I have a seconder, please?
Can you just refresh us what we...
Well, the proposal was to set up a task and finish group that discusses the future strategic plans for parks and open spaces. Proposer, Councillor Wadsworth, seconder, Councillor Romney. All those in favour? Against? Unanimous. Thank you.
Can we look at the report in 2014?
It's
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
It's online.
It's online.
Is that
It's on the council's website.
You'll get it in next week. It's just what I did for the green flag. It's a flag that's a few years
Are
old.
we,
So you'll be getting a copy next week.
Now, or...
You haven't appointed the members, but we've said it
Yeah, it's on the
When we've all
website.
got together.
Go under,
Do you want me to send the link to everybody?
yeah.
I'll see if I can dig out the link and send it to you.
Send it out all
Just to let people get away early, I think that concludes business. Anything else from council? No?